You are Locked On Tigers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Detroit on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Wow, what a kick in the gut that was. Welcome into a live Locked On Tigers postcast. I am your host, Jake Rietma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Rietma. The Tigers were 1 out away from a series split and everybody going home on the weekend on Sunday feeling good. But alas, a 3-run homer for MJ Melendez and the Royals to win this one 3-2. They steal it in the 9th. We'll break it all down, and it was a great bullpen day until it wasn't, but what a debut for Brant. We'll talk about that, and make no mistake about it, this was a tough loss. But as always, we thank you for making a Locked On Tigers postcast your first listen following the final out, and if it was like last night, following a walk-off win, but tonight, not so much fun. But anyways, we thank you for subscribing on Locked On Sports Detroit on YouTube, and a reminder, we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, on YouTube, it's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Today's episode is also made possible by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. All you have to do is go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code, all lowercase, LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. And so when you look at a game like today, it's one of those things where you have all your notes ready to talk about what would have been an awesome bullpen day, what would have been a bullpen shutout, a series split, and it's just one batter where it all goes array. And I know Shelby Miller is going to be the one, and you used to say the GOAT of the game, but now I think the youth have changed the term GOAT to mean just greatest of all time, which is everybody's the GOAT now. Oh, he's GOAT. But you can only be one greatest of all time, and I don't mean to get derailed by that point. It just bothers me whenever this guy's the GOAT. No, he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT, because GOAT used to mean the loser of the game, if you will, and that's what Shelby Miller was today. And maybe that's harsh, but it hasn't worked out for Shelby Miller. I think the Shelby Miller experiment is over. 5-7 on the season, and we don't have to dive into any more of the details, but got 2 outs today, but gives up the 3 earned runs, 3 hits, a couple of singles, and then of course the pinch hit home run, first career pinch hit home run. So you got to give MJ Melendez credit there. And as soon as it left, you could just feel it. And the guys on the broadcast, Benetti and Andy Dirks, who I've enjoyed listening to this weekend, talked about this. You could just feel it in the air that they were playing with fire. Shelby Miller, that was, where he had a couple of long foul balls, some hard contact, and it was just a matter of time. And unfortunately for the Tigers, they just couldn't get that final out. So the good feelings from last night, the good vibes, the good aura, all that good stuff is gone. And the Tigers dropped 3 of 4 to the Royals, who, again, this far into the season, they are making a push to be a team that nobody wants to play in the postseason. 63-50, 27-28 away from home. Tigers fall 7 games below 500, 53-60, 26-31. And I was all excited to talk about the way this team turned it around, and they're still fighting. And I don't think some of that changes. Offensively, it wasn't like they put on a hitting clinic by any means today, but a couple of productive outs. You get the sacrifice fly by Vierling, and a 2-out RBI single by Gio Urshela, and you did enough to win because the bullpen was so good until they weren't. And not to oversimplify, but sometimes baseball's a simple game, and Shelby Miller is the reason the Tigers didn't win this game. But that's, I don't mean to come down on Shelby Miller, but that's the role of a closer. When you don't do your job, all eyes, all fingers point to you. And this is the case where the Tigers were quite literally one good pitch away from wrapping up a series split, bouncing back, and just feeling a whole heck of a lot better going into the off day tomorrow before the West Coast road trip. But alas, again, here's where we are. Tigers lose this one by a final of 3-2. All 3 runs for the Royals come in the bottom or the top half of the 9th, with the Tigers leading 2-0. MJ Melendez, the 3-run homer for all 3 RBI. But you know what? At this point in the season, we're going to be cherry picking some positives, some things we liked. And one thing to like about today was, up until the Shelby Miller experience in the 9th inning, Alex Faedo, really good. And obviously some of the new guys that we're going to be seeing, Brendan Hanafy, he stepped in and was really, really good. And the list goes on. The debut for Brant, and what a tremendous debut it was. I mean, 2 1/3 and did not allow a hit, did not walk a batter, and gets his first career big league, or he struck out 3 rather. So credit to him. And he went 3 innings. My apologies. 3 innings, gave up 2 hits, and what a nice debut for him. Hanafy is who went 2 1/3 and just struck out the 1. Will Vest, he reached back and touched upper 90s and put everything he had into a couple of outs there in the 8th inning. So he was good with an inning and gave up the 1 hit, but got out of it just fine. And then obviously you get to the 9th and the Shelby Miller experience takes over. So it's a disappointing gut punch. It's a disappointing end to a 4-game series against the Royals. And the fans leave upset. You go into the off day where that's what you're going to be thinking about. But I don't want to deter, and we've had these conversations. I don't want to deter anybody from being passionate about this team, but we've been a part of a selling team at the deadline, and it's been so long since we've had meaningful baseball in the month of August and September that unfortunately we are a little bit used to all of this. But appreciate everybody tuning in on a Sunday afternoon. It's always a pleasure to be with you on Locked On Tigers Postcast. We're going to get to the comments here in just a moment. And Hannah Banana 90 leads us off. Have we had enough of Shelby Miller yet? His 7th loss of the season. Yeah, as again, in reference to not really seeing what you have, playing some baseball in the months of August and September that aren't exactly meaningful. It's more of an evaluation period. I think, unfortunately for Shelby Miller, I would be a little bit surprised if he's back in a Tigers uniform, because he just has not been good. He started strong, but as of late, and let me pull up his numbers recently, because there's been some bad outings. Obviously on August 2nd, he was roughed up, giving up the 4 hits, didn't record an out in that obliterating 9-2 loss to the Royals. That was part of that inning where the Royals just went 9 straight hits. It was insane. A little bit better the last couple of times out, one versus Cleveland, and then against Minnesota. But yeah, I do think Shelby Miller is not a part of the future plans for the Tigers. Jason Walter, words you can't say on the radio towards Miller. Yeah, pretty much. But, again, that's part of the role of a relief pitcher. You're going to have those days. Demetrius McNeil, you see what happens when you let the other team hang around, you get burned. Double plays has killing the Tigers during the homestand, including a killer double play in the bottom of the 6th. Yeah, I haven't touched on that, how the Tigers definitely left some out there in terms of the way they would get runners on base this contest and start to have some opportunities. They were just not good in taking advantage of those opportunities in this one, and why they only scored 2 runs, because they did have an opportunity to score more than the 2 runs. And with runners in scoring position, just 1 for 5. McKinstry was 0 for 1, Perez 0 for 1, Baez 0 for 1, Urshela 1 for 2. They left 9 runners on base in total. But you compare that to the Royals, they were 1 for 6 and they left 8 on. So similar stats there. And there's a lot of ways to look at this baseball game, but to oversimplify it, Shelby Miller just didn't make pitches when When you were counting on it, and a great point here from Hannah Banana 90, that's exactly what they were talking about on the broadcast. Just too many pitches in that hit zone in the middle. And, you're just not going to make a living at the big league level. You're not going to last at the big league level long if you are throwing middle, and you don't have that good command, and you're not keeping hitters off balance, and all the cliches that we all know. And again, I don't want to insult anyone or insult, the simplicity of this one, but it was Shelby Miller being unable to get the job done. Everything else, was the offense great? Absolutely not. Was the bullpen fantastic? Yes. And you felt like this was one that this was one that got away. That's about the best way that we can put it here. But we got lots more to talk about. We'll talk about that Brant Herder debut, which great name too, by the way. And then we will discuss some things going on in the minor leagues. Torque had another home run today, also struck out a couple of times. And we'll continue to chop it up on this Sunday afternoon, a live Locked On Tigers postcast. Don't go anywhere. Back in a moment, right after this. This episode of the Locked On Tigers postcast is brought to you by Liquid IV. Go to liquidiv.com, use code MLB for 20% off your first order. Now, listen up about Liquid IV. It's not just a boring hydration supplement that's going to make you feel better. While it does make you feel better and helps you hydrate, it's amazing, way better than just a bottle of water, but it also adds the flavor. That's right. We're talking America's pastime. So don't forget to hydrate with Liquid IV's Popsicle Firecracker flavor, a surefire summer hit. Help you get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. As Tigers fans, we don't really know much about being #1, so you might as well enjoy the #1 powdered hydration brand in America, because baseball and summer go together like Liquid IV and indulgent hydration. That's right. And there's lots of benefits to being hydrated. Everyone gets those headaches from time to time when you're not so hydrated. Maybe you made some choices the previous night, and this is a great, healthy way to kind of kick those headaches and help with the hydration. You perform at your best when you're better hydrated. And you know what? We're all busy this summer. We're talking summer festivals, baseball games, if you're going to Tigers games, concerts, comedy, you name it. After a workout, long flights, hot days, the list goes on. Faster hydration is never a bad thing. So blast off with the iconic summer flavors of Popsicle Firecracker, which is a festive blend of citrus-fueled lemon lime, tart cherry, and raspberry flavors. You can find all your favorite flavors on their website. And don't forget lemon lime pina colada. How about that, sports fans? You just can't beat it. So no more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. Lots of comments to get into here in our second segment of the Locked On Tigers postcast. And wow, I am seeing the comments on the right-hand side. We'll get them up on the screen. That Miller is like Maeda, huge cringe when they come out of that bullpen. Yeah, the Shelby Miller experience is probably over. The Kenta Maeda experience, I'm not sure what the plan is there, because he's a guy that you just like. I forget where I saw it, but Maeda is one of the highest paid players on this team, and you have him under control for a whole nother year. Troy keeping it real, which I appreciate. I appreciate everybody keeping it real, bro. This team stinks. Team stinks. And Jason Walter, at least we are not the White Sox. Yeah, I guess the White Sox are in danger of losing 20 games in a row. I mean, if the Tigers lost 20 games in a row, I'd have to call the bosses up at Locked On and just say, guys, look, I mean, we can't keep doing this. What are we doing? 20 baseball games in a row, just insanity. And the fact of the matter is, it's hard to lose 20. I mean, I feel like as a Major League Baseball team, why are you losing 10 games in a row? That's noteworthy. To double that with 20, insane. We might as well be the White Sox, neither team making the playoffs. But that's all right. We'll keep it positive here, because if you ever speak negative, then you must not be a real fan. I'm, of course, mocking, using a little bit of sarcasm there for some of the way certain people connected, not even connected, but in the media realm, if you will, seem to think the way that you have to talk about a team is just always sing their praises. Otherwise, you don't care about them. But that's obviously not the case. But anyways, we won't go down that not really exciting path. Let's talk a little bit about the offense. 2 hits for Colt Keith, and we could keep our eye on the Colt Keith Rookie of the Year watch, because he was the American League Rookie of the Month in July. And that's one storyline that, you know what, we'll keep our eye on, because it's exciting to think that maybe he can be a guy that turns it all the way around. Because remember when we were talking about Colt Keith deleting all of his social media and kind of the tough stretch or start that he got off to, but since then he's been phenomenal. Right now he's plus 800 on FanDuel for Rookie of the Year. So maybe a bet that would certainly pay out really well. I know Wyatt Langford is day-to-day for the Rangers. He's another potential Rookie of the Year, but we'll keep you abreast on that situation. But loving what you're seeing from Colt Keith. In the meantime, I bookmarked a couple of minor league updates that we can get to, because let's be honest. Now we start looking at what the guys in the system, not that we're not always looking at what the guys in the minor leagues are doing, but you know what? When we're at the point that we are, sometimes we need to make ourselves feel a little bit better. Trey Sweeney apparently playing well in AAA. It'd be interesting to see if he gets a call up at some point before the end of the season. Of course, he was the other part of that deal with Flaherty. 9 games. So here's something for Max Clark for West Michigan, obviously the first round pick from last year. 9-game hit streak, 10 runs scored, 5 multi-hit games, 4 doubles, a triple, 5 RBI, slashing 405, 463, and 568, 1.031 OPS. That's from Emily Walden, who does a great job covering the Tigers minor league system for Baseball America. So Max Clark, really obviously performing well. I mentioned that Spencer Torkelson had a home run today. So I think, and that was a discussion. When is it time to call Spencer Torkelson back up? That's gotta be sooner rather than later. Not that he and I said this on X and got some discussion with Calico Joe that obviously the OPS numbers are a lot better, and he's, doing damage when he makes contact, but the whiff rate is still there. He's still striking out quite a bit. And obviously that's not going to bode well up at the bigs, but in this new age of baseball, I understand that, striking out is just a part of the game now. And we're just concerned about the OPS numbers. What's your on base plus slugging percentage? That's what it's all about. All right. A couple more comments to get in. I've done this topic 100 times, and, on a Sunday afternoon, I don't feel like really getting into it. I'll be honest with you, but I do agree with you, Troy. Chris Illich doesn't care about the fans or the team. It certainly, it certainly feels that way a lot of times, especially when you look at 2016, when the Tigers had the 4th highest payroll in baseball. 2024, they are now the 26th highest payroll in baseball. So obviously well below league average. And I know there's more metrics and more ways to determine if an owner is really invested in the team aside from payroll, but that's certainly at the top of the list of things that you would look at for ways to just quantify what level of investment is, especially when you take Mr. Illich and the combination of him and Dombrowski and being, AL Central, 3-peat AL Central, always in the mix, always making trades to try to make this team better, to the approach that there is now. And again, that was the MLB average right now is 97.9 million. or that's what the Tigers are at. The MLB average is 168 million. So well below that MLB average for payroll. But again, it's exhausting. And I've said it from time and time again that it's disappointing. And this offseason will be interesting to see if moves are made. When you listen to Scott Harris, it doesn't sound like the Tigers are ready as an organization, which to your point, Troy, and I agree with you. And that's why I've exhausted this topic on this program is it's so disheartening. It takes the wind out of your sails, knowing that not only is this team not good now, but it feels like there's no plan or investment in the future to make this team good. But appreciate everybody and their activity in the comments. In terms of discussing where this team is at right now. I really appreciate it. And on a tough day like today, where the Tigers lose 3-2, especially when they led 2-0 going into the 10th, I understand. You're frustrated, you're sick of the losing, and there was some hope with this team from time to time. I think back to right before the All-Star break, obviously 3 of 4 from Cleveland, 2 of 3 from the Dodgers, and even right after the All-Star break, 2 of 3 from Toronto. You split with Cleveland, and then it also is a testament to the AL Central. Look how well the Guardians and Royals, for that matter, have been. And if the Tigers were in a different division, maybe it's a different story this year. But alas, that is not the case. So I hear you. I'm with you. And believe me, if you've watched this program from its beginnings, you've seen me get fired up on here, and the investment level I wish was a different situation with this ownership group, because we all know, to one of the points in the comments, I did see it, Chris Ilitch is one of the richest owners in baseball, but we run this team like a low budget, small market team. And that's a tough pill to swallow. I'll leave it at that. But we got one more segment to send us off into Sunday night. Again, appreciate everybody's comments, interactions. Share this video, like it if you haven't yet. It takes 2 seconds and it really helps us out, because that whole YouTube algorithm is a thing of its own. It's got a mind of its own, and we want to send it out to as many Tiger fans as we can. So don't go anywhere. Final segment coming up next. This episode of Locked On Tigers Postcast is brought to you by Prize Picks. That's right. The most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports is Prize Picks. That's why it's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. That's a lot of them. I am one of them. One of the reasons I love Prize Picks, it's so easy. It takes 20 seconds to put together a lineup. And maybe let me just back up a little bit. Maybe you don't even know how to play Prize Picks, because don't worry, it doesn't take a genius. It's real simple. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 players, stat projections, and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the Prize Picks community today. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. Hey, if you want to get in on the excitement and win up to 100 times your cash with the summer games on Prize Picks, with Prize Picks, you could turn $10 into $1,000 while watching Team USA rack up the gold medals this summer. All you have to do is download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code Locked On MLB on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. All right, we cruise into the weekend as the Tigers have an off day tomorrow before the West Coast series, or the West Coast trip, I should say. And I believe it starts with Seattle, then to San Francisco, which in fact is the case. How about that, sports fans? We love it when a plan comes together. So late games, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Not sure why the Mariners don't believe in day games on Thursdays. What the heck? So Tigers will play 9:40, 9:40, 9:40 Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then be in San Francisco at Oracle Park. Beautiful ballpark there. I mean, it is just absolutely gorgeous. So Friday night, 9:15, Saturday, 3 o'clock, and then Sunday, 3 o'clock as well, before returning home after an off day, back-to-back off days on a Monday, and then returning home to play those same Mariners on August the 13th. And then the Yankees come to town that following weekend after the Mariners. So that's a little look ahead for some of the games that we've got coming up. But again, at this point in the season, I understand we're into football preseason. I'm excited to see where Locked On Lions postcast will be when the first season of Locked On Lions postcast is set to begin. That's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for that. And Locked On Pistons postcast as well. And did you know that Locked On has actually launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube? And it's now available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today, here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus national shows covering every league. You can find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Great stuff. A couple more comments to get to. It looks like everybody is active in those comments, which we appreciate. And talking about Justin Henry Malloy, if he can hit for average, he can be one of the best hitters in baseball in the future. Yeah, when he runs into him, look out. There's a lot of pop in that bat. He had that big hit last night that extended the game. Just 1 for 4 tonight. Or this afternoon, I should say. But yeah, Justin Henry Malloy, I think, is a guy I think you can be excited about moving forward. All right. Couple more comments to get into. Jason Walter, spend daddy's money, Chris. And then RJVJ4, who cares about Chicago White Sox? Someone has to explain that this is the Detroit Tigers to Cheesy Illich and Wonder Boy Harris. For us D fans, we've been in preseason mode since Avila started to destroy. That's right. There's no timestamp for WB, so why waste every year in preseason mode to waste fans' expectations? Yeah, that's a good question. Listen, I'm as frustrated and upset as anybody because, again, I feel the exact same way. And, I've been vocal about that on this program. And until things change, I don't really know where the conversation goes. Other than, you keep doing your due diligence as a fan and hope for the best. And that just sounds like a very helpless place to be, but it's the reality. And, when you look at some of the big names that might be available in the free agent market in the upcoming season, Pete Alonso and, some older guys too. And, somebody tweeted out a full list. I can't remember if I bookmarked that list of upcoming free agents, but point being, there's going to be a lot of big names, and I just don't see the Tigers making a move for any of them because we still got to develop that young core. But anyways, appreciate everybody tuning in. As always a pleasure to be on the air with you. We have no idea who the Tigers starters will be in Seattle. I think at least Cater Montero will go Tuesday, and then Scooble again on Wednesday, our only 2 starters. And then after that, who knows? Your guess is as good as mine. Maybe they call somebody up. I don't really know. It's a tough spot to be in right now as a Tigers fan, especially after a 3-2 loss to the Kansas City Royals after leading 2-0 with 2 outs in the 9th. Shelby Miller. Yep. He's the one that gives up the home run, the 3-run home run, and that ends, not ends, because the Tigers had to lose it in the home half of the 9th, but you get the idea. Shelby Miller gets hit with the loss, 5-7, and the Tigers now 7 games below 500. Wish I had better news, but hey, go enjoy the rest of your Sunday. If you're catching this at a later time, we appreciate, as always. Make sure you send it to a Tigers friend, like the video, download, or rather, like the video and share it with a friend. Make sure you subscribe. That's the term we're looking for. But as always, have a wonderful day. It's a pleasure being on the air. And we will talk to you next time on Locked On Tigers Postcast.